Throughout history, many prophecies have surrounded the figure of the popes, but few have been as enigmatic and discussed as the prophecy of Saint Malachy. According to this ancient prediction, there would be a limited number of pontiffs before a great collapse in the Church and the world. And here arises an intriguing question. Could Pope Francis be fulfilling the role of the last leader of the Church before the arrival of difficult times? Is the prophecy of the 112 popes an occult truth or just a legend? Who would be the false prophet mentioned in the Bible? Don't miss this fascinating and in-depth analysis of the prophecy of Pope Francis. Let's unravel the mysteries surrounding these events and understand what they might mean for the future of humanity. Hello everyone, welcome to the True Crime Files Investigations channel. If you are a lover of real criminal stories, get ready for an exciting marathon. Every week, we will explore shocking and remarkable cases, the most complex and intriguing ones, with an in-depth analysis of the details and motivations behind each event, which leads us to question human nature. Subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos, and ensure you're always up to date with our exclusive content. Leave your like to strengthen our community and motivate me to bring more and more impactful and unprecedented stories. In recent days, the biography of Pope Francis has been one of the most talked about topics worldwide. Many people have revived an ancient prophecy attributed to a 12th century Irish bishop, which supposedly predicts catastrophic events for the Church and even for the world. According to this prophecy, the 112th Pope would govern in extremely difficult times, and his death could mark the beginning of the end times, as described in the Apocalypse. And, according to scholars of this prediction, that pontiff would be precisely Francis. Some theorists go even further and claim that his successor could be the so-called false prophet, a figure mentioned in the Bible as the messenger of the Antichrist, responsible for paving the way for apocalyptic events. In light of this issue, the question arises: are we really witnessing the fulfillment of a secular prophecy, or is this just another theory that resurfaces every time a pope falls ill? This is exactly what we will discuss in today's video. First of all, I want to make it clear that I respect all beliefs and religions. Since February 14, 2025, Pope Francis has been hospitalized at the Gemelli Hospital in Rome. What began as bronchitis evolved into severe pneumonia, compromising both lungs. Additionally, he faced a worrying condition of kidney failure, anemia, and a decrease in platelet count in the blood. At 88 years old, his body naturally becomes more vulnerable, which increases the severity of the situation. While the Vatican closely monitors his recovery, reports indicated that the Swiss Guard was already taking precautions for a possible funeral, which only intensifies the speculations. It is in this scenario of uncertainty that the so-called prophecy of the 112 popes resurfaces. According to this prediction, there is a list of Latin mottos that would describe the characteristics of each pope until the destruction of Rome and the end of times. Tradition attributes this vision to Saint Malachy, a 12th century Irish bishop who supposedly received the revelation during a visit to Rome. However, this document was only published in 1595 by the monk Arnold de Wyan, raising suspicions about its authenticity. Many believe it may have been altered or even invented to influence the election of popes in the conclaves. Even so, what intrigues many people is the impressive accuracy of the prophetic mottos throughout the history of the Church. Now, we have reached the last name on this list, and according to this prophecy, Francis would be the last legitimate pope before a period of great tribulation. If this is true, his successor might not be a true leader of the Church, but rather an impostor, an instrument of the Antichrist who would play a crucial role in a malign global government, deceiving millions of people and altering the fate of humanity. But does this prophecy really make sense? Or is it all just a coincidence? To answer this question, we need to analyze both historical events and the signs of current times. The list of Saint Malachy becomes even more intriguing when we look at the last popes and see how their mottos seem to surprisingly fit the events of their respective pontificates. For example, Pope Pius X, 1903 to 1914, was associated with the motto Ignis Ardens, which means burning fire. During his papacy, he was a fervent defender of the faith and fought heresies with great determination. His leadership was marked by profound reforms in the liturgy and doctrine of the Church, characteristics that well reflect the meaning of his motto. Benedict XV, 1914 to 1922, received the motto Religio Depopulata, which can be translated as devastated religion. His pontificate coincided with World War I, one of the bloodiest conflicts in history, which not only devastated entire nations but also shook the faith of many. Churches were destroyed, Christians were persecuted, and Europe plunged into chaos. For scholars of the prophecy, the connection between the motto and the events is evident. Following this logic, Pius XI, 1922 to 1939, was identified with the motto Fides Intrepida, or intrepid faith. His papacy occurred during the rise of fascism and Nazism, regimes that brought censorship, religious persecutions, and extreme violence. Despite the threats, he remained firm in his position, publicly denouncing the abuses of these totalitarian ideologies. Then we had Pius XII, 1939 to 1958, whose motto was Pastor Angelicus, or Angelic Shepherd. His pontificate was marked by World War II, a period of great uncertainty and suffering. He faced a complex dilemma: how to protect Christians without putting the church at risk. Some consider him a silent leader who helped refugees in secret, while others believe he should have been more vocal in his opposition to Nazism. Regardless of the interpretation, his motto well reflects the challenge of leading a flock amid chaos. John XXIII, 1958 to 1963, came next with the motto Pastor et Nata, which means shepherd and navigator. During his papacy, he initiated major reforms in the church and guided his community through turbulent changes, just like a captain steering a ship in rough waters. Paul VI, 1963 to 1978, was identified with the motto Flos Florum, or Flower of Flowers. Interestingly, his papal coat of arms contained 3 lilies, symbols of purity and devotion, making the motto a perfect description of his figure. John Paul I, who governed for only 33 days in 1978, received the motto De Medietate Luni, which can be interpreted as from the half moon. Some believe this is related to the brief period of his papacy, which lasted just over a lunar cycle. Given all these coincidences, the question arises: is the prophecy of Saint Malachy really a divine revelation or just an ingenious construction? Is the world about to witness an apocalyptic event with the possible end of Francis's papacy? To better understand, we need to continue investigating the signs and reflecting on what is to come. And this is where the coincidences become even more intriguing. Pope John Paul I reigned for only 33 days, dying mysteriously. Now, observe this curious detail. His election and death coincided exactly with the phases of the half moon. But the peculiarities do not end there. His successor was none other than John Paul II, one of the most influential popes in history, who led the church from 1978 to 2005. His motto was De Labor Solis, which means from the work of the sun. And, surprisingly, he was born on a solar eclipse day and died during another partial eclipse. As if that were not enough, his mission as pope was to bring faith to all nations, just as the sun shines for the entire world. After John Paul II, Benedict XVI assumed the papacy from 2005 to 2013 under the motto Gloria Olivi, or Glory of the Olive. The olive is a fundamental symbol of the Order of Saint Benedict, and although Benedict XVI was not a direct member of the order, his name and trajectory were closely linked to it. However, what truly marked his pontificate was his resignation, something extremely rare in the history of the Church. This event reinforced the belief of many that we were entering the final phase of a secular prophecy. And so we come to the final name on the list, Pope Francis. If the prophecy is correct, he would not only close the succession but also pave the way for an unprecedented period of tribulation on earth. And here is an even more unsettling detail. According to the prophecy, the last pope would be called Peter the Roman. Francis, despite being Argentine, has Italian roots and chose the name Francis of Assisi, whose baptismal name included Pietro, Peter. For many, this connection is not mere coincidence. This belief led some people to think that after Francis's death, the next pope would be the great deceiver, the 8th king mentioned in Revelation 17, the one who would be the false prophet, preparing the world for the Antichrist. In light of this, the big question arises: are these just coincidences or signs of something imminent? The Vatican is already facing a turbulent time, marked by crises, scandals, and internal divisions. Francis is a controversial pope, loved by some and rejected by others. There are those who believe that his departure from the world stage could be the trigger for an even greater event. Countless theologians and scholars share a central belief, mentioning the theory of the 8th king of Revelation 17, suggesting that the next pope would align with an anti-Christian global government. This combination of beliefs, coupled with Francis's delicate condition, makes many people attentive to what might happen in the coming months. But regardless of the events, the hope of Christians is not in the popes but in Christ. The world may change, prophecies may be fulfilled, but faith in Jesus as the only Lord and Savior will never be destroyed. And after all this, a legitimate question arises. Who guarantees that Francis will be the last pope? After all, how many times throughout history has the end of times been predicted and nothing happened? For those who believe in the prophecy of Saint Malachy, there are 3 clear signs indicating that Francis may be the last pope before the Great Tribulation. The connection with the name Peter. According to the prophecy, the last pope would be called Peter the Roman. Although Francis does not have this name directly, his choice of name was inspired by Saint Francis of Assisi, whose baptismal name was Giovanni di Pietro, Peter. Additionally, his Italian origin strengthens his connection with Rome. The Great Tribulations during his pontificate. Since his inauguration, Francis has faced internal crises in the Vatican, abuse scandals, tensions between conservatives and progressives, and a world that is increasingly polarized. His decisions have generated divisions, making him one of the most controversial popes in modern history. For some, this could symbolize the destruction of the city of the Seven Hills, that is, a collapse of the traditional authority of the Church. The resignation of Benedict XVI. For centuries, Catholic tradition held that a pope should remain in office until his death. However, Benedict XVI broke this rule, paving the way for Francis's ascension. Many believe that this resignation was not an isolated event but a harbinger of a radical change in the Church's hierarchy, preparing the ground for the last pope on the list. Amid all this, there are also skeptics. Many argue that the dates and names may have been manipulated over the centuries, or that the prophecy is merely an invention to influence papal elections. However, whenever a pope falls ill or resigns, these predictions gain strength once again. Thank you so much for watching this story. Your presence and support are essential for me to continue creating quality content. So, if you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any new episodes. Your subscription and comments are fundamental for me to keep bringing quality content. Leave your opinion in the comments, always with respect for the victims, and together let's build an even better community. Thank you so much for following my work, and I'll see you in the next episode.